Hi everyone, I'm Hayden, and today I will be taking a look at the new Armada Universe figures from Transformers Legacy and Legacy Evolution. First, we will be looking at Armada Starscream. Again, I know I already looked at this figure in my Seekers video, but it was a last minute addition to that video, and I lost like half the footage and didn't realize, so half the review just isn't there. So I'm talking about it now, again, for real this time. This robot mode is really great. It's very faithful to the original toy and to the animation model, although I would have preferred more white instead of the gray used here. There are also a lot of options when it comes to the look. The instructions say to push these wing pieces up against his waist, but I think it looks better if you don't do that. And the shoulder cannons can be folded down on his back like this, but I don't really like the look of this either. Speaking of the back, there's nowhere to put a minicon like the original, but the cannons can still swing around. They aren't spring-loaded, but the fact that they included it at all is pretty cool. One weird thing about the robot is the shoulders. They're supposed to be transformed like this, but it makes them kind of loose. So what I do is push the arms to the end, like you're transforming it, and they stay in place a lot better. Starscream's articulation is really good. All the joints are pretty tight, except for his leg joints. They are a bit looser than I would like, but not loose enough that it's annoying and that he can't stand. For accessories, Starscream comes with a sword. With the original toy, you would take off his wing, and it would fold out into the sword. Obviously doesn't do that there, although it would have been cool. His other accessory is the Star Saber, a sword made from 3 minicons, but here it's just one piece. Both the swords can be stored on the back of his wings. Getting these parts unplugged is a bit hard, so what I do is I use the sword and just do that. The transformation is a bit annoying. It's kind of hard to fold the legs up, but other than that it's alright to do. And this sci-fi jet mode is pretty cool looking. It's pretty different to what Starscream usually turns into. There isn't a whole lot of kibble. Sometimes the face does have a tendency to show, but not very often. And if you want, you can untransform the arms a bit to make it look more accurate to the original toy. Overall, Armada Starscream is a really good figure, and a really great start to this line of figures. Next up is Hotshot. Since Hotshot is from that one era of Transformers where Hasbro lost a lot of their trademarks, Hotshot is pretty much a combination of Bumblebee and Hot Rod. But after they got the trademarks for both of them back, Hotshot kind of took a backseat for a while. But now, since Legacy is taking from all parts of the Transformers brand, we got a new toy. Hotshot's robot mode is pretty good. It's very faithful to both the cartoon and the original toy. It isn't perfect though, and is probably the weakest out of all of the new Armada guys. Which doesn't mean he's bad, just means that he's the worst in a good bunch, or something. The arms are pretty weird. On the original toy, they were where the roof of the car was kept. Here they have the sculpted window detail, but it's all one color. It's missing that pop of yellow. Same thing with the legs. These circles should have been painted with black or gray plastic. But that's not the only problem with the legs. They are super hollow. And the way the red continues down kind of makes it look like it's not actually his legs and that this is like just extra attached to his leg. I don't know, it just looks weird. And the kibble on the back blocks his knee bend, but if you move it out of the way, it does go all the way. But other than that, his articulation is pretty good. Like his original toy, this new Hotshot has a couple of play features, or at least gimmicks that reference play features. His visor can be put down, and the back axle of the car can be folded out and over his head to form a big cannon. You can even stick effect parts into it. For accessories, Hotshot comes with this little engine gun. I don't really like the way that he holds it. In order for it to attach to the car mode, it has these 2 pegs. So when he holds it, he's either holding it like that or like this. And neither look really good. And that's it. He sadly does not come with his minicom partner. Transformation is really confusing. It does get easier over time, but not on camera. And this car mode is really cool. One thing that is a little annoying about it is the roof. Since it's painted onto clear blue plastic, it makes it almost look green. But other than that, it's pretty good. And if you look at the back, you will find a mini-com port. For some reason, this is the only one out of all the new Armada toys to have one. And for some reason, Legacy Bulkhead has some, which I don't get at all. But sadly, I don't have any mini-cons to show you. It also can't roll at all because the front wheels don't actually touch the ground. Despite all of his minor problems, I still really like this figure. I never had the original toy, but this guy is a decent enough substitute for my collection. Now for one of my favorite additions to my collection. This is probably one of my favorite Megatron designs ever. All three of his Unicron trilogy designs are really unique and stand out from the rest. Most Megatron figures now are all based on the G1 design, which is cool, but they all start looking the same after a while. This robot mode is really great. It's super accurate to the original toy and cartoon. The head sculpt is really good, although I would have preferred if he was baring his teeth like on the box art. And these antlers have a tendency to pop off really easily, but luckily they do just snap back in. Another thing I like is how chunky he feels. I don't really know how to explain it, but he's just a lot more fun to play with compared to a lot of other leader class toys. Probably has something to do with the fact that his legs and knees are both ratcheted. Makes him feel a lot more sturdy. Something else I noticed was all the asymmetrical details. His chest, arms, legs, and shoulders all have different sculpting. And while we're looking at his back, I should probably talk about this. The tank cannon is just kind of on his back, which is accurate to the original toy. I feel like if the joint on here wasn't as tight as it is, it would be a lot more annoying. It even has some features that reference the original toy. You can swing the barrel under his arm for a shooting mode, and if you extend his waist and turn the whole turret around, you can recreate his minigun mode that he would activate with his minicon. Although here it doesn't look as good because of the lack of Leader 1. In fact, Megatron doesn't really come with anything. His only accessory is the tip of the tank cannon. The reason it's detachable is so that you can attach it here. And I don't know if he did this in the show or if the toy can do it, but I think it looks too good. The transformation is really simple for a leader class toy, but this tank mode is great despite of that. Again, it's super accurate to the original. The turret can swivel, but not a full 360 degrees, which is a little annoying, and the barrel can move up and down. There's these guns here that if you detach it, they can also move up and down. The little wheels at the bottom of the treads roll really well, and probably rolls better than most car modes do. Overall, this figure is amazing. I saw a lot of people online complaining that it doesn't have enough play features. I know that Armada is pretty famous for its play features and gimmicks, but mainline Generations figures don't have those anymore. I don't get why people thought they would add them to 4 new figures and none of the other ones. So people like that are just missing out on a great figure. Finally, we will be looking at the main event of the new Armada Universe figures. Commander Class Optimus Prime. Since Optimus is packaged in his truck mode, we will be taking a look at that first. This truck mode is great, incredibly faithful to the original toy. It obviously isn't 1-to-1, but it may as well be. I love how wide the front of it is. It's like it was meant to run over Decepticons. The wheels roll really well, probably the best out of any figure I have. The bed of the truck is a bit kibbly, the super robot hands are just there, but I don't really mind it that much since it's usually covered up by the trailer anyway. And this trailer is also very faithful to the original. You can pull these things out in order to have it stand up on its own. You can't put things inside of it, but Armada Optimus's trailer was more of a mobile battle station for his minicons than an actual trailer. You can store the blaster on top. Hitching the trailer onto the truck is pretty easy. You just take this piece and you just put it there and there you go. But sadly this peg is too big to fit onto any other Optimus Prime, so it kind of sucks. But that's not all this trailer can do. This base mode is probably the least accurate part of this toy. It looks nothing like the originals. It doesn't even have that cool battle tower thing. And there isn't really anywhere for figures to hang out, but I don't really mind it as much, mostly because this actually feels like a mode that's intended. With Motormaster's base, it really felt like an afterthought. None of the parts plugged in, and it was literally just pieces of a bigger guy spread out over a table. But Optimus actually has tabs that plug in. You can actually pick it up without it falling to pieces. Definitely did not need to be included, but it's fine. Now let's look at something that actually matters. The transformation from truck to robot is really fun to do. Like all these figures, he's super accurate to the original toy and the cartoon. He's probably around Voyager height, but he feels as heavy and solid as a leader class toy. The head sculpt is perfect. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but the areas around his eyes are painted in a darker plastic to make the eyes pop out. It's a very minor thing, but it's really cool that they did that. His articulation is also really good. He has double jointed elbows, and he even has a ratcheted ab crunch. It does only click once, but it's just enough to make his poses that much more dynamic. His legs and knees are also ratcheted, but there is a pretty major piece of articulation missing. Due to how he transforms into the super mode, there's no waist swivel. It does limit his posability, but I don't think there's any way that they could have added one. Armada Optimus comes with 4 accessories: his ion cannon, which is sculpted really nicely, 2 smokestacks, which can also plug into the ion cannon, but I definitely prefer them on his arms. And if you open his chest, it reveals the Matrix of Leadership. It's a very different design from the G1 Matrix, but it still looks cool. Now, I wouldn't really call this an accessory, but he also comes with this little tiny sculpted Autobot logo that is detachable. Usually it's just plugged into his back, but I don't know why it's detachable. To attach the torso to the legs, you flip this red tab up and put the truck grill piece in here. Then you flip the red tab down to connect the torso, then you just fold it down and it snaps into place. And the super mode is incredible. He's really tall and super solid. The only other commander class figure I have to compare his height to is Menasor, and obviously he isn't as tall as him. The new head sculpt is great. Again, the area around the eyes is painted in a darker color to make them stand out. And unlike the original toy, the eyes are yellow. The red eyes in the original were kind of scary, so I kind of like this change. Like all the other Armada Universe toys, this guy has some features that reference the original toy. Like these ports by the back of his head. They can be filled up with effect parts to replicate missile launching. And these shin-mounted guns, which cannot have effect parts attached. He also has this slot on his back, which from what I've seen online is so he can combine with Overload, potentially. And while we're looking at the back, it's very Ghibli. The backpack is fine, but the tail does get in the way a lot and it is kind of annoying. The Supermode's articulation is really good. He has a lot of joints and most of them are ratcheted. He even has opening hands, which I feel is something that should just be standard on Commander class figures, because Menasor does not have them, and I forgot to mention that in my video, and I hate it. Some weird things about the articulation is the legs are ratcheted this way, but not this way, so it feels kind of loose in comparison. And also the waist swivel is underneath all the skirts, so the skirts get in the way a lot of the time while trying to pose them. But despite those two things, he can get into a lot of great poses. Overall, Transformers Legacy Evolution, Commander Class, Armada Universe, Optimus Prime is definitely my favorite figure in the new Armada Universe line. He's big and chunky, and like I said in my Optimus Primal video, I feel that's missing from a lot of new Transformers toys. So he fills that need perfectly. These Armada Universe figures are really good updates to the originals. Even though I didn't grow up with Armada, they are still super fun to play with and are some of my favorite new figures. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe, and comment what you think I should review in the future.